Welcome back to KC Cares, Kansas City's nonprofit voice. We are back at the Kansas City Library.
Here at the library.
Yes, it's our special
very
Kansas.
busy library today. I don't think I've seen the library this packed for quite some time. Maybe the sun is out. We're through the parade.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of energy from the parade, from the Chiefs champions.
So
parade.
again, but we're back. So glad to be back at the library, and we have the great news that we've got lovely sponsorship by the Ewing Marion Kaufman Foundation, which is great, so that we can continue to bring the stories of great nonprofits. And we have an organization that we've never had before, which is really wonderful.
Yeah.
The Black Archives of Mid-America in Kansas City. And we have Dr. Carmeletta Williams. The doctor is in the house. She's the executive director.
Thank you.
Welcome.
We are so glad to have you here.
And I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
So tell us about the archives. Tell us about what is the Black Archives. Obviously, it should be self-explanatory. So how did this come about?
The Black Archives was actually founded 45 years ago. Our founder, Horace Peterson, collected buttons and brochures and stored them in the trunk of his car. We are actually, the way I'm counting, the fifth repository. First, it was the trunk of his car.
Oh, wow.
Then the Black Archives was at the YMCA on 18th and Paseo. I understand he rented an apartment after that. And then after the Black firehouses were desegregated, then the archives was at 2033 Vine and Firehouse number 11. And now we're at 1722 East 17th Terrace, Kansas City, Missouri, and an absolutely beautiful building.
From a trunk to an incredible building. Wow, what was his motivation?
I understand. I didn't know Horace Peterson, and I feel jealous when I hear these stories about him. But apparently from the time he was in high school, he was telling people that he was going to open a black museum. And they were going, yeah, sure. You know, who wants to do that? Nobody wants a black museum. And he stayed focused on that. He went to the Smithsonian and got certified as an archivist. He was at University of Arkansas in Pine Bluff for his college experience, but he remained focused on opening a black museum. You know, I'm sorry that he didn't live to see the building that we're in now, and everyone tells me he would have loved it.
That had to. I mean, just the resistance that he.
And the passion he had, and the resistance he must have hit, and just pursued. And the foresight that people would want to know about this community. Now, your reach is beyond just Kansas City, is it not?
I laugh when I think about the name Black Archives of Mid-America in Kansas City, like there's a Black Archives of Mid-America someplace else. There isn't. We are it. And the focus is on Kansas City, and right now we're doing a lot of activities like picture parties, et cetera, to identify we literally have thousands of pictures that we don't know who the people are in the pictures. So we've had a black firefighters picture party, black police officers, and black business people picture parties so that we can identify those people. But our reach is much broader than that, much broader than Kansas City. Mid-America is important, but so is the whole country. And as a research institute, we have had people come and do research from Switzerland, from China, from South Africa, and all across the United States.
So what are they wanting to know when they come here? In your repository, obviously you have a lot of photos. What else is there?
We have everything.
Buttons,
we have thousands of photos. We have many, many thousands of documents. We have like the Alvin Ailey collection.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And we've had several documentary crews come in and do research with that. When Alvin Ailey died, he left his works and his papers to Alan Gray, who's on our board, and we house them at the Black Archives. We have 3D artifacts. We have a military saddle, spinning wheels. We have Aunt Lucy's cabin, which is a place in Trenton, Missouri, where an enslaved woman lived, and Horace Peterson and his friend Tillman Stewart found out about it. And Tillman went there. They met with the family. The family said, you can have it. So they took it down, put it on the back of trucks, brought it down, reconstructed it at 2033 Vine, and now we have it up in the Black Archives now. And so we have all of that. We've partnered with the Equal Justice Initiative's Community Remembrance Project. You may have seen Just Mercy.
Not yet. It's on my list.
Okay, go see it. It's fabulous. But we partnered with them, and one of the things that we're going to house is part of the lynching museum. Oh, wow. They have it. They have a beautiful, we're not going to be able to replicate that, of course, but the museum itself is in Montgomery, Alabama. But we will have jars of soil from people who were lynched in this area. And they're not anonymous people. We know who they are. We know their names. We know their stories. The first one that we got was a man named Erastus Brown, who was lynched in Union, Missouri. And they identified where he was lynched, dug some soil up from underneath where his body hung, put it in a jar, and put his name on the jar. So we're taking them out of anonymity so that people can know that these are real people with real families and real stories, and we're going to house those. Right now, we've identified 60. We think there's going to be 80 or more just in this region.
That's pretty awesome. And immediately, I think what a way to preserve people's legacy, not something that's not so great, but it's a great way to remember. And have you ever thought about maybe taking that soil and planting a tree?
Ooh.
And then each tree is a representation of.
Well,
I'll take that on for you.
I think he needs to be on your board now.
I'm on there with it.
The soil is only in the size of a pickle jar, I don't think we could plant many trees in there.
Even a spoonful, even just a spoonful, just
evergreens.
The essence,
Yeah.
Hey, but
we're going to have monuments and those kinds of things for those people.
So I got to ask, with all that history, what is the one thing that kind of, when you got involved or that kind of just caught you off guard and was like, wow, that's something that is new to me. What is it? Is there anything? Or is it,
Well, I didn't really see anything. I was retired when I got a call, Dr. Carmen, this is a 911 call. The Black Archives is in chaos and we need you to fix it. I wasn't naive enough to think that I was the only person who could fix it. And I told him I was very happy working at home in my pajamas. But when I went there and saw the building and saw the collection, the possibility of what that could do for Black Kansas Cityans, for Black Americans, it was like the culmination of my whole career. I taught at Johnson County Community College for 28 years. I taught English and African American studies. Since I was a little girl, the lives of Black folks was important to my parents and my grandparents, that I know that. I never had a white doll. My mother always went places to make sure I had a Black doll because they wanted me to see how important it was to be a Black person here. So this was like the culmination. It's the thing that I could do to preserve that history.
We're in Black History Month. Why is preserving these archives so important to both the Black community and the community beyond?
I saw a T-shirt that I got to find out how to buy that says Black History Month is every month of the year. And it is to us at the Black Archives. And then it says, but in February, I'm blackety black. And so I like that because it does give us an extra boost. And when people say that they're colorblind, for the most part, they're well-meaning. But the first color to disappear is black. And so that's why I think it's essential that the Black Archives and the stories of those people be preserved, and also that we know who those people are. That's why we're having the picture parties, because somebody donated every one of those pictures to the Black Archives. Too bad they didn't write the names on the back.
Yeah, I think that's a common problem with everybody's family pictures.
Yeah, but it was important for them to preserve whatever was happening in that picture, and that's what we do.
So you came out of retirement to do this? Wow.
Well,
aren't you a good person?
Well, I went to China and taught there a year after I retired, so it wasn't like a direct transfer of energy. But I love China, and then my son and I set up a publishing company. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's what I was doing when I took
How are
this.
you doing outreach so that every month is Black History Month for everybody?
Well, I do a lot of presentations, a lot of talks. I go places and I make sure that if I can't do it, somebody else can, because it's important to just saturate the system so that Black history and the history of people of color in this city and in this state and in this area and in this country are not somehow relegated to us and them.
Right.
That it becomes an our situation, and that's what it takes. It takes coming on these shows.
Yeah.
It takes going to Rotary clubs and those kinds of things to spread that message.
Go ahead, Bobby.
I was going to say, do you see more and more? I guess, do you have more involvement with corporations that are wanting to, talk about diversity and inclusion and things of that sort? It seems like that's kind of, what's on a lot of corporations' minds these days.
Well, some. Before I retired, I was the founding executive director of the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at the college, and so we made a lot of
at JCC.
At JCCC.
Okay.
So we made a lot of connections there. We have KC Athenaeum. Mm-hmm. They just gave us a big chunk of money for the Community Remembrance Project. We were the first person, they tell me, that they've made that kind of donation to. Wow. So I think there is a community buy-in now that our history is everybody's history.
Yeah. We had Judge Hardwick on, who I think is very involved with KC Athenaeum. Did I say that right?
Well, sometimes I say Athenaeum and then it's Athenaeum.
Athenaeum. I stand corrected. I want to be accurate. Your interest in all of this then stemmed from your own growing up.
Yes.
Would you share with us a little bit about your own personal history?
Sure. I grew up on 55th Street in a neighborhood called the 54th Street neighborhood. We still have a website. People are still connected. We visit. We have reunions. And when I was doing research for my dissertation, I pulled the plat for the neighborhood, and 55th Street is Black Street officially.
Oh, my gosh.
53rd Street is Lynch. So I know somewhere in me I have a book about growing up between Black and Lynch. Yeah. But it was an amazing place to grow up. Everybody knew everybody. Everybody looked out for everybody else's kids. I can remember my grandmother packing baskets of food and those kinds of things to take to somebody else in need. And Blackness was important to us, and that we understood that being Negroes at the time was not something to be ashamed of, but something to be extra proud of. So I grew up then in that neighborhood. My grandmother was very political. And so every election we would pass out flyers. We got paid for it too. We would pass out flyers, and she would be at the polls, helping people to vote. So that part was in me from the time I was born.
And then your decision to go to college and then pursue this. Tell us a little bit about that part of your journey.
Well, it wasn't a straight journey. My mother was a nurse, and from the time I was probably 6 years old, she wanted me to be a doctor. And she was like, "You're going to make a great doctor. Women love women doctors." And she would buy me medical bags and stuff, and I'd kick them under the bed and tell her I'm going to be a writer. It wasn't until I was in college, and at that time, it was a long time ago, they used to send your grades home to your parents. And she was like, "And when are you taking these science classes?" And I'm like, "Oh, did I tell you I'm going to be a writer?" She said, "Well, you better be a teacher too, so that you can support yourself." But that was her whole thing. So when I got my PhD, I'm like, "Yeah, you got a doctor."
There you go.
She was like, "Yeah, and I'm so proud of you. I'm just telling everybody how proud I am of you." But I did kind of want a practitioner.
You are a practitioner. You are a practitioner. You're just doctoring things in another way. Having a child who's gone through med school, believe me. Where does the community go from here in terms of preserving history? Yesterday is history. As far as that's concerned, today will be history.
Yes.
So how do folks move forward, and how can they help you in preserving that? Write the names on the back of pictures.
Right. And they can bring us things. We've had many, many people since I've been there 14 months who have come in and brought one woman, a friend of mine, brought a record collection of 78 records. She was moving out of town. She's like, "I know you'll take care of them. I'll bring them here." a brother and sister came in and brought in 13 boxes of books. Their mother had passed, and she collected books by and about black folks. Amazing titles. So bring those things through us. We've seen all kinds of documents come in. Share those with us. Also volunteer your time. We have some regular volunteers that come and help us to scan these things so that we can get them in our database so people can access them on their computers. And we need money because we're a nonprofit. Doesn't mean that we can operate without money. So we need donations and appreciate those too.
Where can people go to donate?
Black Archives, blackarchives.org, and there's a donut.
There you go.
You get a donut if you donate.
These round cookies. There's a donate button there, or you can come in. You can mail it to us, 1722 East 17th Terrace, Kansas City, Missouri, 64108.
And we'll put all that information up on the website.
Yeah, we're fully accessible and appreciated.
Can folks come down and look at stuff?
Absolutely.
Do you need to make an appointment, or can you just come by?
No, the exhibit hall, the Ewing, Marion Kaufman exhibit hall, is open Monday through Friday, 10 to 5, and Saturday from 10 to 3. We don't charge anything for people to go through the exhibition hall.
Oh, wow, nice.
But we do appreciate donations.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And Horace, in the back of his trunk, did this. So, folks, check the back of your trunks before you throw out anything. You could have the beginnings of an archive in there. We hope it isn't of disease. Yeah. We'll focus on the history and check out the Black Art. I mean, I just had so much fun going in your website and going, oh my gosh. And then when I saw Alvin Ailey's stuff, very cool. Support the Black Archives here in Kansas City.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.